Hello and welcome. I'm Mihir Bagwe, Principal Correspondent at the Cyber Express, and today I'm excited to join by Kapil Yewale, a seasoned cybersecurity and risk management leader with over 2 decades of global experience. Kapil has led enterprise cybersecurity strategies across sectors like finance, healthcare, retail, and pharma, and is currently based in Australia, where he's making a significant impact in the cybersecurity space. From designing secure by default frameworks to leading threat intelligence, security architecture, and regulatory governance, Kapil brings a 360-degree view of evolving cyber risk landscape. In this conversation, we'll explore his journey, dive into current challenges, especially the recent cyber attacks down under, and get his take on the future of cybersecurity leadership and resilience. Kapil, thank you so much for taking the time today to join us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Mihir.
Okay, without wasting a lot of time, we'll just dive into it. I just wanted to know, you've spent over 2 decades in the cybersecurity domain. Looking back, how have you seen the role of a security leader evolve, especially in sectors like finance and healthcare? Your take on it.
Well, definitely 2 decades looked like a huge transformational time. I started when cybersecurity was not really a focus of most of the organizations. A lot of the organizations just going and started the phase of digitization. But I would say last 8 to 9 years, there has been a huge transformation and focus coming on security. And when I say the focus on information security, it's pretty much a byproduct of focus that has come in with focus on protection of data and privacy around it. So, as everyone says, data is new oil. So, everyone wants to ensure that their oil deposits are protected. So, that has been the huge transformation that has seen and the role evolve into it because everyone is so concerned and want to protect the data and the insights that come with it. There has been a huge focus on protecting this information and ensuring that your crown jewels are protected. And especially when it comes to financial services, healthcare, and governments, there has been a huge and a drastic change in landscape. Not just from requirements or the focus, but also the regulations that have come in. Right. So, take for
Mhm.
example the focus on GDPR in European Union. In
Yeah.
US, they have their own laws. In Australia, if you are in financial services, you need to comply with regulatory frameworks. There is Australian privacy law, there is Australian regulatory approval, regulatory prudential and regulatory authority that governs all financial services license. So if you hold a license, they have this huge compliance requirements and regulations that you have to comply with. So it's not just that organizations are doing it out of their goodwill. They because there is policing all the compliance and there is a huge focus around it. There has been drastic changes in the way risk management, technology, and cybersecurity is managed within organizations.
Oh, perfect. When I was introducing you, I talked about you implying and implementing secure by design architecture and frameworks. What are the core principles that guide your approach to building this secure by design enterprise security framework? It is like across such diverse industries because you've worked across the industries, right? What is your approach to secure by design?
I think, as you rightly outlined, right? I have experience in so many diverse domains. The focus on what you are trying to secure and protect also changes based on the domain. So my core principle or approach around it has been that understand the domain and the industry that you are operating in, what is valuable, and what are the crown jewels of that organization, and come up with a framework and a design that aligns and protects these assets, right? So take for example, if I'm working in financial services organization right now, our focus is in protecting the customer information, financial information, so that we
Yeah.
can provide insurances in a secure way and the information is protected because we are storing highly sensitive and confidential information of our customers. But if I
Mm.
was working when I was working in a pharmaceutical organization, our focus there was more around protecting our IPs for the medical research that we were doing and all the hard work that was put in, because that's the money maker. That's the business that we have in place, right? So if we lose
Absolutely.
IP, then that's the big loss for us. So secure by design principle is pretty much driven by knowing the environment that you're operating in and being there, putting security guidelines and frameworks and guardrails from the start. So the one thing that I keep on proposing to everyone and the discussions that I have is be a partner and a friend to business. They should be able to trust you. They should be able
Mhm.
to approach you so that you get a seat at table from the start. Every time they have an idea, be there to listen in so that when you provide your guardrails, you know what they are trying to achieve. So you can, customize and allocate the necessary guardrails based on what they are trying to achieve. You cannot go with the mindset that I'm going to make this as 100% secure environment. It never happens. So you
Yeah.
have to ensure you do assessment, understand the outcomes that you are trying to achieve, and then put a framework around it.
Absolutely. We just touched base on, the importance of supply chain, like you were just speaking about it, and also about GDPR. So, with so much of global exposure right now, the supply chains are global. They are no longer just like, intercontinental or like inter-countries. It is, there's so much of global exposure and risk management strategies, it is like very difficult at this point, to define them and to have them, especially with regulatory expectations also that are in there. Like you truly mentioned, GDPR is something that comes in Europe, US has something else, APAC has something else, Australia comes in APAC. So, how do you manage those kind of dependencies, as well as how do you tailor these risk management strategies then?
Yeah, interesting way to put it, but yeah, that's always the tough challenge. So I think probably the important aspect for you to be successful in your risk management strategies and being a successful professional in your area is probably knowing the domain that you operate in, right? So it's not that you will be expert, you will be a domain expert from day one, but I think we have to ensure we keep on educating ourselves, get on uplifting our knowledge continuously, not only from technology perspective, how technology landscape is changing, but how the domain landscape, how the regulatory landscape is changing. And then that will drive your risk management strategies and evolving risk management approach based on the domain, right? So every continent that you are working with, you should really understand the business. Like
Right.
if you don't really understand the environment you're operating in, you won't be able to be successful in that role. So it's like just
Right.
truly understand what you're accepting, what you're getting into, and then do a proper mapping. And I think that homework is really important, knowing what you're doing.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And just talking about Australia, I just wanted to check with you about the Australian superannuation fund attack that very recently happened. It is buzzing, and Australia is like at the moment responding to it. So, I'm just very curious to know what systemic cybersecurity weaknesses do you believe are like most common in financial services sector? We know that Australia has had some of the biggest cyber attacks in the past two couple of years. You take into consideration Medibank, you take into consideration Optus, and then it followed for the next 2 years. So, and this superannuation fund cyber attack is the latest one. So, what kind of systemic cybersecurity weaknesses do you think are there plaguing the Australian financial services right now?
Yeah, it's Australia definitely has been in news. I don't know, is it because of the scale or because it was getting covered? Whatever it is, it's definitely there. But yes, so I think the common weaknesses are pretty much universal. Don't think they're anything special to Australia.
Hmm.
It's human. It's user experience and the human error. That's pretty much driving the common weaknesses that you see. So take for
Right.
example the
Even
superannuation attacks. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, like for the matter of fact, the superannuation attack, they found out that there were weaknesses in MFA and the access controls, basically. So that was something that was missing. So as you rightly put, like those are the basic things. So do you think that there should be a baseline for cybersecurity for financial sector? I know there are already certain rules and regulations that are already in place, but do you think that the baseline needs to go up a little bit now?
Uh, I think the baseline was always there. I think it
Mhm.
was more of an ability for organizations to enforce it. Right? There are certain requirements that are outlined, but organizations are resistant to put in place. What has happened since COVID times, you would have realized, and I think it's common across globe and especially in India and other countries, is there was traditional way of working. There were organizations that were not ready for digital transformation. COVID hit, and all of a sudden, organizations, understood. Oh, we can go digital. We don't need to have people come in and let's come up with the
Absolutely.
app. Let's come up with the online portal. Right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
yes, you decided to do this overnight, and you decided to input it, and the approach is always taken, and that you will hear common in projects, is minimal viable product, MVP. Right, and the minimal viable product is, I want my customers to come in easily to me and do everything they want, so that I don't have to worry about, I can give them the best user experience. Now, putting a multi-factor authentication, which is pretty much bread and butter nowadays, is not good for user experience. So, you know what? I am going to do minimal viable product, and I will say in 6 months I will put multi-factor authentication, and those 6 months get
Mhm.
shifted to 12 months. The 12 months get shifted to 18 months. So
Right.
it all comes down to organizations. We want to go digital, but we don't want to hamper the digital experience. And anything security measures. So even for example, right, you try to put in a strong password, put in a 10
Yep.
character or 12 character password. It hinders the digital experience. Why can't I
Yep.
have 6 characters?
I get that. I completely get that. Yeah, that's there. I think that fight between, user experience and their convenience over security is something that is like a discussion point and a debatable thing for security teams and for user experience and customer support teams. I think that fight has been going on and it is going to go a long way along. But let me just put you in the shoes of, there's an organization like Australia Super who has
Hmm.
been impacted with it. If you were in that place as a CISO or like a head of a risk in that particular organization, what would you prioritize immediately after such an incident? And especially in terms of communication, containment, and say long-term resilience. So I'm talking about immediate action and also looking forward to coming days so that it does not, relapse and reoccur. So
Yeah,
your views.
definitely. Yeah, so I think what you're saying is pretty much the common running theme, not just in the organizations that got breached, but also in the organizations that are operating in the similar environment, right? So I am no different to what the CISO in that organization is undergoing, because we had the same questions asked internally by board and other executives in the organization. So pretty much, I think some of the responses that was handled by superannuation organizations was pretty good. The first thing, definitely, when it comes to containment, is make the services offline, and that's what pretty much most of the organizations did. They took the application offline. They stopped people from logging in so that they can get a control on what exactly has happened, and restrict possible attack vectors for future. They took the online portal offline for a few hours so that they can reset and disable accounts and reset passwords, so people can put in new credentials and log in again. And there was a well, definitely there is always delay in communication. No one wants to outrightly come and say, there is a problem, we are breached. You want to keep it really on down low, because it impacts the organization's brand. But I think what happened here was the regulators as well as the media was very aware, and they did come and publish out the information as it was happening in real time, which forced the organizations to come out and give statements. And they
Mhm.
had to release statements on their websites and reach out to their customers. I am also one of the customers who is using this Australian superannuation services from one of these organizations. So I did receive communication saying that, your account is safe. We are working on it. There has no loss of monetary impact to me. So I was kept informed about it. So I think the communication was tackled pretty efficiently. I won't say effectively, but it
Mhm.
was tackled efficiently. But if you talk about the core weaknesses or long-term resilience, definitely the one of the key aspects that you can see from this particular attack was the credentials that was the attempt to extract or log into these accounts was not something that is not known in the security world, right? We know any credentials, they get leaked. And
Mhm.
these credentials are available on dark web for anyone to buy. And if you know
Absolutely.
right places to go, you can buy these credentials and use. And it's human nature. No one wants to remember complex passwords. No one wants to remember hundreds of usernames. So you will see a pattern that people use same usernames and passwords across multiple services and applications. So you breach one application and you get access to pretty much everything else that person might be using. It's very easy to come up with a profile once your
Yeah.
information is leaked. And I think that's probably a weakness that we are seeing in cybersecurity, that a lot of cybersecurity professionals probably don't want to invest, have maturity, or probably um, focus on is threat intelligence, like how important threat intelligence has been or has become as part of your cybersecurity maturity. So
Mhm.
one of the key aspects that whenever I discuss with my peers, is importance of having threat intelligence, which might include dark web monitoring, brand monitoring, impersonation monitoring, and using the threat insights that there are so many other providers out there in the market, really good and mature ones, not just the big ones. There are really these startup disruptors that have come in. They are trying to commoditize threat intelligence for everyone, right? So we had an instance where threat intelligence was expensive. You really
Mhm.
need a huge budget to do threat intelligence, but that's not the case anymore. In last 1 year, I have seen some amazing startups who have come in market, and they are trying to make threat intelligence affordable. They are trying to disrupt this particular market by ensuring, threat intelligence is that every organization who really cares about security makes the as part of their journey. And that particular piece has been missing, and the tie-up of this threat intelligence with authentication for your external facing or internal systems, I think that is a resilience or probably a technology upliftment that most organizations have to do. How can you use the authentication mechanism, multi-factor authentication, and connect it to your threat intelligence source to see that every time there is a credential leaked, and if you see that match in your environment, you should automatically reset the passwords. And I
Yeah.
think that link is missing, and that should be the long-term resilience plan.
Hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, I was going to ask you about threat intelligence and hunting functions there because you've been part of those teams, and just to understand what are the gaps that still need to be plugged in for proactive defense. But I think you just answered that question for me right here over here. So just moving on from that, because we've been talking about threat intelligence, and now threat intelligence is like AI based, right? AI is coming into the picture. It is both a security tool and a potential threat vector as well. So how do you see security teams balancing innovation with risk, especially with generative AI and synthetic identity threats that are on the rise?
Yes, this, as I said, right, we as professionals now we have to ensure we keep on uplifting ourselves
Yeah.
every day. There is, because if it was not COVID which brought in rapid digital transformation, AI has drastically affected everything, right? So previously, for example, as a security team, you have to worry about phishing emails and spam attacks. And one of the ways you can tell staff that they can identify this, spelling mistakes, obvious
Mhm.
wrong usage of grammar. But
Yeah.
AI has made this kind of phishing attack simple. You can write these sophisticated emails now. Like you
Yeah.
don't. That's not a pattern anymore. So
Yeah.
that's not a pattern of guessing any phishing, because
Yeah.
they really AI tools can write good English for you.
Absolutely. Grammarly does that for you. It checks the grammar and everything. Not just that, deepfake videos, right? We saw a case in Hong Kong where an entire meeting, an entire C-suite was there present, and it was an AI deepfake video call in which an employee was asked to come in, was asked to join. She joined there. She couldn't make out the difference between the deepfake and ended up transferring $25 million. So I think that's something that we should be very wary of,
True,
So
and that's definitely the new thing that you will see. And it's not just so. The probably a different take that I will have on this is you might have seen a recent example of one of the providers in workforce management. They had, as part of their interview process, they had a person who they were interviewing doing a video interview, and that
hmm.
person was pretty much from North Korea, and they were using AI to mask how they looked. So they were impersonating to be someone else, and they did get a job in that organization,
Now,
and which resulted in them, that person being onboarded as an employee in the organization remotely, because that's the new world. It's digital world. So you can work from any part of the world, and you don't really have to go to actual physical identification check. It's all digital. So that person was able to be onboarded, that person was onboarded, and they were able to get access to internal, sensitive, and confidential. It might be business trade secrets, it might be customers data. They were able to get access to this information. So AI is really making this particular time frame challenging as well as very educational. So I think we are going to play a game of whack-a-mole, where we are going to see clever usage of AI by threat actors and professionals like us trying to play a catch-up till to a time where we reach a plateau where the security teams are equipped and think like AI threat actors, and probably come to a match where they can predict what they are planning and come up with controls around it. But I think till that time, we are always going to see these scenarios. And managing AI has become a challenge every organization, right? Because everyone wants to adopt AI, because everyone has been sold this AI is your magic tool that is going
yeah,
to fix probably all your problems magically without doing anything, right? And then execs want to adopt AI for getting business outcomes. But what generally comes as a risk professional for us is the risk that come with data that goes into setting up these AI systems, right? Because you are actually playing with business data, you are playing with customer data that you are going to lose rights on. It's not going to be your IP. And I think that's the really thin and challenging path that we have to travel when it comes to AI, and then really educate. It's hard enough to educate the execs on how AI works.
yeah,
Then we have the harder job of explaining execs the threats that come with AI. So it's
yeah.
it's it's really a challenging situation to be in right now. Yes, it's
Hmm.
educational. Probably this is something we can tell our kids about what we encountered when they talk to their robots. But for now, we are going through the challenging phase.
Yeah, so just putting you in the spot, secure by design. If I say AI threats, what do we do? What changes do we make to systems, or like for the matter of fact, you just said we gave an example of North Korean being given employership in a US organization, and it was a huge thing. There were around 300 people who were actually, given employment, and after a while, after 2 years, 2.5 years, they came to know that it was a bot farm in US from where they were operating. There was one guy who was operating 300 laptops, and all were remotely connected to North Korea. And so that kind of impacted. I'll give you an example. It kind of impacted our organization as well. We thought about onboarding people at least once they need to come to the office for onboarding purpose, right? Do you think that it is going to be challenging, and then what kind of controls can you plan and have in place? Like, I know at the moment it is very difficult to say this is black and this is white, this is how we do it. But what can we be moving towards? What direction do we take to counter these threats from coming from AI?
I think this is definitely a multifaceted approach that we have to tackle. There is no one control. There is no one way to tackle this. It's that's the probably, as I say, challenging and probably the best entertaining part of it. It really keeps you on your toes to
Hmm.
know how to tackle this, right? So take for example, just take talk about the issue where you had a CEO been impersonated and a deepfake used for exfiltrating $25 million from the organization. So that's where, when I talked about threat intelligence platform really making threat intelligence a commodity, and some of those, the real good ones, are introducing capability where, in addition to they doing executive monitoring for any executive impersonation attempts or executive data breach management, they also have introduced this capability of using the images that you provide due to their platform to use it for deepfake monitoring, where these platforms will
Hmm.
trawl through different forums, different platforms in dark web, and try to see if there is an attempt made to use the digital version of your execs to impersonate
Hmm.
or cause a scam. And this field is evolving, right? There are technologies that can be your best friends that can help you on this path, and there are these technologies and organizations are really probably ahead of curve in managing and helping professionals like me to tackle this situation and give that assurance to board and execs that we
Hmm.
do have the right partners that we can work with, who can provide us some protection against impersonations by AI. And when we talk about secure by design, AI, and the systems you're designing, I think it all comes down to how mature you are in the organization when it comes to information management. So it all comes down to knowing what data you have, where are you keeping the data, the sensitivity and classification of data, and
Hmm.
protecting it from AI systems, or ensuring that you do a tunnel feed to these AI systems. Again, this is
Right.
a very oversimplification, but
Hmm.
there is definitely a multi-pronged attack that you will have to do when it
Right.
comes to
So,
AI
so,
threats.
so do you think that cross-industry collaboration and information sharing is also going to be very important in this? Like, I don't know if you're seeing it, so I would like to ask this as well. That if you're seeing enough of that kind of public and private sector sharing information and sharing, collaborating, coming together and collaborating these threat vectors and everything, especially when it comes to AI. Countering AI cannot be done by one. It just cannot be a one man's mission to counter AI. So, do you think that industry collaboration and information sharing is key at this point of time? And are we seeing that?
Definitely information sharing, and you know sharing the experience that they might have with respect to AI threat vectors and attacks probably they have encountered is definitely key, because these are the experiences that will teach and probably enlighten other organizations to probably get better at their security posture and the way they manage security and protect their assets. Definitely that is a key for us to keep up with the threats that AI possesses. But if we
Hmm.
talk about if there is enough collaboration with respect to that, that definitely is probably at its start phase. I don't really see this as a widely adopted approach.
Hmm.
Organizations are very coy when it comes to how they are leveraging AI, because no one wants
Hmm.
to openly come out and say how they are using AI, what are they using AI for, and what they have seen the probably pitfalls with using and attacks that they have encountered around it. Because right now AI is not just an IP, it's a brand differentiator. So
Right.
everyone wants to say they are, ahead of curve when it comes to AI. What are
Yeah.
you doing with AI? We don't really know, but we are using AI, and we are good at it. But so no, everyone is in that phase of telling how great they are at AI, but not really talking about the challenges that comes with AI.
Right. Right. Kapil, it was like I can keep on talking with you for another hour or probably the entire day. There's so many things that we can keep discussing, but I know we are like falling short on time. But just before you go, and I would like to, put you in a spot where you could give an advice to the aspiring cybersecurity professionals, for the leadership role that like yours, um, in coming years, how do you think that they need to approach this?
Well, I can only say from my experience, and for you to be successful in this role, I think we need to look at cybersecurity not as a standalone domain. You need to understand cybersecurity is built on the various facets of technology. It's built on top of cloud, it's built on infrastructure, it's built on networks, it's built on applications. Unless you have fundamental knowledge about all these various domains that make up technology, I don't think we might be effective leaders in cybersecurity. So,
Mhm.
in my 20 years of experience, I can call myself as a learner because I started from networks, I started from infrastructure, I have worked on applications. So I know how these entire stacks work. And because I know how these stacks work, I am able to, when I talk about secure by design principles, because I know how it works, I know what are the risks and the weaknesses in this particular frameworks that I can, strengthen as part of my security role. And I think that's
Mhm.
the key. You can't just jump in and say I'm a security analyst if you don't really understand how technology works or how technology is
Absolutely.
functioning. So I think that's the key. And it's not just because I'm saying that I have been here for 20 years. We talked exclusively so much about AI. Right now, one of the things that I'm exploring is probably I need to go back to school and learn. So I am trying actively exploring, see if I can do. I'm trying to do masters in AI, so that let
Mhm.
me go back to uni and study it. Because if I have to be successful in my role for another
Yeah.
20 years, I need to know how it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's great to know. I wish you all the very best for your future endeavors as well as your learning curve, because I truly agree with it. Even we keep on doing yeah, these things. We need to keep on upgrading as journalists, as tech writers. We need to keep doing this thing, especially with AI. It's become a little bit of a claustrophobic feeling because you feel that you are kept in a box and AI is like surrounding you all the time. So I have started doing prompt engineering as well. So that helps my kind of work or day-to-day work as well. So I completely agree with you. We need to keep on learning new things. We need to keep on upgrading new things, and I don't think there is a better kind of lesson for people aspiring to come into this kind of domain, in cybersecurity domain especially. So thank you, Kapil. Thank you so much for all your valuable insights. And as I said, I can keep on chatting with you for another hour or probably even a day. But I know you are on a tight schedule. And thank you so much for spending this much amount of time talking with us. And I'm pretty sure to our listeners that this would be a valuable lesson and valuable insights for them as well. So thank you so much. And for our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you found this conversation valuable, feel free to share it within your network and stay tuned for more interviews with industry leaders shaping the future of cybersecurity. Until next time, stay secure and stay informed. Thank you, Kapil.